And breaking news here at 5. For the first time, we are getting a look inside the Warren County courtroom as Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson were convicted in the death of Crystal Rogers. And hello, everybody. I'm Connie Leonard.
And I'm Doug Proffitt. You'll remember cameras were banned from the courtroom, but there was an official court camera recording, and the court just released this video to us. WHAS11 News obtaining the courtroom video that captured the 10-day trial. That includes right here, watch closely, the moment the verdict was read on Tuesday.
In regard to Commonwealth versus Brooks William Houck, in regard to instruction number 4, it says, "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder, principal, or accomplice under instruction number 4C. And under instruction number 5, it says, "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of tampering with physical evidence under instruction number 5. In regard to Joseph Lawson, the verdict form number 4 says, "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit murder under instruction number 4A. And under verdict number 5, "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of tampering with physical evidence under instruction number 5.
In the video, you can see Houck and Lawson show absolutely no emotion as Judge Charles Sims is reading the guilty verdict. So we want to play it again. You can also see Crystal's mother, Sherry Ballard, sitting right behind the prosecution. She drops her head as the verdict is read. The judge, remember, had told the room no outbursts would be allowed. After polling the jury about the verdict, they take a break before the sentencing phase begins. We want to let you know there are a total of 14 discs between this trial and the trial of Steve Lawson, who was convicted in May. Again, we just got this video from the court. Our team is busy going through it right now. We'll have more for you, this footage, tonight at 11 on the WHAS 11 Night Team.
And also more breaking news tonight. The man who shot at Mayor Craig Greenberg while he was running for office has pled guilty today to state charges. It means the 3-year-old case is now over.
Quintez Brown guilty of attempted murder and 4 counts of wanton endangerment in connection to that shooting at the then mayoral candidate. In February 2022, Quintez Brown walked into the campaign office in Butchertown and fired 6 shots at Greenberg. One of the bullets grazing Greenberg's sweater. You see photos of that. That morning, Greenberg and 4 staffers were in the office and survived the shooting. Today, the judge in local court sentencing Brown to 10 years for the state charges and sent him right back to federal custody. Brown already pled guilty in federal court and was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison.
Now, in a statement, Mayor Craig Greenberg said he is relieved there will not be a trial so that he and the other victims will not have to relive the trauma from that day. Going on to say, quote, "Violence has no place in our political world. As a fortunate survivor, I will continue to work with strong resolve to end gun violence in our city and country." To Washington now, Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul disagrees with Mayor Craig Greenberg on cuts to federal food assistance.
Greenberg says Donald Trump's self-titled Big Beautiful Bill, which is now law, is likely to kick 20,000 Louisville families off of their SNAP benefits. Rand Paul, who voted against the bill, is talking with WHAS 11's Isaiah Kim Martinez. Tonight, we're also hearing from Kentuckiana's major local food bank.
Skyrocketing hunger in our community has the chefs busy at Dare to Care's community kitchen in the Parkland neighborhood. Dare to Care Food Bank President and CEO Vincent James has perspective on the billions of dollars in federal cuts coming to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, formerly known as food stamps.
There stands a chance for some folks to lose their benefits. For every dollar that's invested in this SNAP benefit, it produces 9 meals. For every dollar that's invested in a food bank, it produces 2 meals. So that's a huge gap.
On the 4th of July, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg said 20,000 families here are likely to lose their SNAP benefits. Do these numbers sound right to you?
I think that's a doomsday scenario, and that's people trying to hype the effect of this bill for their own partisan advantages.
Senator Rand Paul has doubts.
I don't think any of that's true. I think, in fact, what you'll find is that very little is going to change.
The concern for groups like Dare to Care Food Bank is if fewer people are on SNAP benefits, it could increase the demand for their services, for their food pantries, potentially forcing them to make difficult decisions. What those changes could look like on a local level, that's coming up at 6. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 on your side.
And also tonight here at 6 o'clock, we're going to have Rand Paul's response when we asked him what his current relationship is like with President Donald Trump, especially given the senator's no vote on the big, beautiful bill. His answer may surprise you. That's coming up at 6. Right here at 5, low vacancy rates mean high demand for housing in New Albany. And that's according to the Community Foundation of Southern Indiana.
Right now in Floyd County, only 4% of housing is vacant and available. But as developers seek to put a 20-unit subdivision of fourplexes into a historic neighborhood, our Ian Hardwick hears from the opposition.
Bugs and birds call these 3 acres home. It's property along Myrtle Avenue, now owned by Discovery developers. The DePaul Neighborhood Alliance gathered there in opposition to a 20-unit series of fourplexes planned for the site.
All we're asking for is development that respects the standards that we have maintained here for 100 years.
Resident David Reynolds says those standards, green front yards, sidewalks, and unique homes, make the historic DePaul neighborhood an ideal place for their tight-knit community. He also says that's not in Discovery's plans. Janet Essenprice's vegetable garden sits by Myrtle Avenue. She says deer live in the nearby forest and that she'd rather keep the blue netting that keeps those deer out than see more concrete show up.
Just 10 feet from that alley edge, there will be a wall of fourplex that I will be looking at from now on, and if this goes through.
The Alliance worries about traffic at the end of DePaul Avenue, too.
The neighbors say this guardrail was dented within the past week. They're worried if this subdivision does go in, the 40-plus cars worth of traffic it could add will be too much for the tiny little turn.
I've had the police ask me to back my car up off of that corner just so traffic can make that round.
The group also sees the wooded property swamped during heavy rains. They fear drainage issues if these 3 acres lose the grass in favor of the concrete. Discovery developers, also known as Discovery Builders, did not respond to multiple requests for comment. New Albany's housing is short of the housing need. 553 names sit on the Housing Authority's wait list for public housing. In New Albany, Ian Hardwick, WHAS11 on your side.
New Albany Planning Commission picks up that conversation on the development July 15th. That's next Tuesday at 7 p.m. at City Hall.
We dodged rain today. It was humid enough. It felt like rain was coming out of the sky at any minute. But well, once again, we had that nice hot sunshine.
It's very hot out there, Mallory. You feel it today.
Oh yeah, temperatures back in the 90s. So yesterday was nice because we had all that cloud cover that kept temperatures even in Louisville in the 80s. But today, even though we had some clouds around this morning, more blue sky and sunshine this afternoon. That's allowing those temperatures to return to be a couple of degrees above normal. 92 currently at the Louisville International Airport, 90 in Shepherdsville and up in Scottsburg, 88 currently in E-Town, Brandenburg, and Hardinsburg at this hour. And then here are your feel-like temperatures. You can tell most of us feeling like the 90s, feeling maybe a degree or 2 hotter in some spots. It depends on what your dew point is, because that is what we factor together to really get your heat index here. And current dew points are actually highest outside of Louisville. We've mixed down to 64 for a dew point, but you can still see plenty of those lower 70s. So yes, that summer-like humidity, it's still around, but it's not creating too much in the way of any kind of spotty showers or storms. We've had a few that try to build up. They don't last all too long. So you're lucky if you get an isolated downpour this afternoon and evening. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and muggy. Temperatures in Louisville dipping down to the 80s around sunset, 70s tonight, and then trending even potentially hotter tomorrow. Mostly dry for your Friday. Unfortunately, those rain chances do pick up as we head into the weekend. We'll be talking much more about that coming up in our 7-day forecast.
Mallory, thank you. More of our top stories for you at 5 o'clock. The former Bardstown, Kentucky police chief who fired Nick Houck from the police force during the Crystal Rogers investigation is now facing charges of his own. Rick McCubbin was arrested last month in Louisville on a misdemeanor domestic violence assault and harassment charge. According to court documents, he got into a physical altercation with 2 people, allegedly grabbing one of the arms and pinning her to the wall, then throwing a second victim off of him and onto a bed. His next scheduled court appearance is set for December 19th. Now, we contacted Rick McCubbin this morning after the court appearance there today, the court hearing, for a statement. He said that he wasn't going to comment at this time.
Today, a mother of 3 charged with child endangerment pleaded guilty to all of her original charges except one of them, which was dismissed. Back in August, LMPD officers arrested Betty Sue Snyder after her kids were found hungry, thirsty, and living outside in the hot weather. The Commonwealth recommended a 3-year sentence for each felony and 365 days for each misdemeanor, all to run concurrently.
He further admitted that the victims were made to live outside, could not shower, and were left alone for long periods of time. He also admitted the victims did not have access to food or drink unless she came home and brought it to them, including during summer days with extreme heat.
A sentencing date was set for September 9th, and a probation and parole investigation has been scheduled.
In Texas today, the number of lives lost to the historic flash flooding on the 4th of July has now hit at least 120. 96 of those deaths are in Kerr County, Texas alone, and include 36 children.
Kerrville police also noted that the number of known missing remains above 150, a reality that will likely push the death toll higher in the hours and days ahead.
Maribel Gonzalez is in Kerrville today, where this morning's daily emergency management briefing looked decidedly different than the ones in recent days.
Thank you very much.
A notably shorter news conference today in Kerr County, Texas. The only speaker, Kerrville Police Sergeant Jack Lamb, giving only a brief update on the dead, the missing, and the ongoing search and recovery efforts.
It is a methodical search which ensures that every area in an area to be searched is covered and searched, and that no stone is left unturned.
Unlike previous daily briefings, a number of county officials did not attend, as questions and concerns swirl around delayed or non-existent emergency alerts ahead of last week's catastrophic flash flooding.
Did the inability of police radios to communicate directly with county radios hamper rescue or recovery efforts as those waters rose?
I don't have any information to that point.
And when asked what changes have been made ahead of the next heavy rain,
I think that's an important question, and that's something that we're going to be looking at.
Kerr County Sheriff wasn't at the podium this morning, but said Wednesday a response timeline will come.
I want that answer, and we're going to get that answer.
In answer, some flood survivors say they already know.
And I didn't have any alerts until the water was already inside the house.
There was no advance warning.
Texas's governor says state lawmakers will hold a special legislative session later this month to discuss flood warning systems, emergency communications, and a victims relief fund. In Kerrville, Texas, I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
4 female officials tell CNN the agency's efforts to respond quickly to the Texas flooding were initially hindered by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. It was previously reported that Noem's department recently enacted a sweeping rule aimed at cutting spending.
Now, every contract and grant over $100,000 requires her personal sign-off before any funds can be released.
Stay right here with us. Coming up in just a few minutes later at 5:30, Mike Kochasik of the National Weather Service Louisville is going to be in our studio live. He's a flood expert here locally, and we are in flash flood season in Kentucky and at the moment. What our warning systems are in place to alert you, he'll detail that ahead at 5:30.
And WHAS11 has teamed up with our sister stations to help those impacted by the devastating floods in Texas. You can scan that QR code that's right there on your screen to donate to the Tegna Texas Flood Relief Fund. Your dollars will go directly to flood victims who need that help right now.